Hello, and welcome to week 3 of summer school. So, this week we are actually going to go through how to peer review one of your fellow students' essays, and I'm going to walk you guys through what that looks like and who you're going to be peer reviewing. And then I also want to touch base on just a couple plot devices to make sure that you guys know what I'm expecting when it comes to your completed stories. So, let's get started. All right, so let's talk about week 3. So again, this week is June 15th through the 19th. So your lesson is, I'm just going to review how to give peer feedback, and then you are going to give feedback on 2 students' short stories. That's due Wednesday, June 17th. Don't forget to read your self-selected novel, and then you're going to have your final narrative essay due on June 19th, and I'm going to get into that later. So, how to give feedback. So, you guys are going to see this document here on Schoology. So, basically, this is the chart about how to give peer feedback and who you're going to give peer feedback to. So, here is your name if you turned in your essay. And then over here, you're going to see your name twice. And that means if your name's over here, you need to go across, and that's who you are peer reviewing. So, let's start with Caitlin. So Caitlin is going to have her essay peer reviewed by Addie and Skylar. But Caitlin herself is actually going to peer review Izzy and Nolan's because her name is here and here. So then she will peer review those 2 people and not these 2 people, just so that's clear. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're not sure, just send me a message and I will let you know who you are peer reviewing. This just makes it so that everybody gets 2 and that I know specifically who is supposed to give feedback on that person's essay. Once you identify the people that you are going to peer review, you need to first make sure that you can open their document and that you can actually leave comments. So I was able to almost access every single person's and leave comments myself except for 2 people, and I've reached out to them. But if for some reason you open their document and you don't have editing access, then you need to let me know so that I can contact them to make sure that they can do that for you. So I have that here. Let me know ASAP. Please don't wait until 4 p.m. on Wednesday to get that peer review in. Try to do that as soon as possible. Next, you are going to make the comments on the following items. So I tried to make it as clear as possible so you knew how many comments by the end and especially what I'm looking for. I do want to note, you might not be the first peer review, so make sure that your comments are unique and you're not just copying and pasting what the person before you did. And then while you're giving feedback, remember we're all practicing writers. So if you're reading somebody's and you feel like you're commenting a lot and it seems to be overly negative, leave that to me. Leave me to give on their rough draft comments specifically on grammar or spelling or overall story structure. You're there to try to help them as their peer. So that's why I wrote, be gracious and try to help. So, as many comments as needed on overall formatting. So did they include their running head, MLA header, indents, format? So that was a part of the rough draft format. So if they didn't do that, just gently remind them that they need to make sure that they add that. And then this one as well, as many comments needed on grammar and spelling. So if you find any odd phrases, sentences, punctuation, etc., add a comment there. The next one, you need 1 comment on page length. So if they got it, just say you met the page requirement, good job. And then if they didn't, so if they're only at a page, just remind them, well, the rough draft, you should have had a page and a half. Your final draft, you need to have 2 full pages and kind of help them from there. 1 or 2 comments on, you can obviously have more, but shoot for that. The final draft will be due on Friday and is expected to be 2 full pages. So add a comment or 2 about what they might be able to add or in order to help them get to that 2-page requirement. If they're already at that 2-page requirement, just add like, this is great. Again, maybe leave 1 comment about what they could add or take away in order to keep it around that length. You're going to leave 1 comment on something you liked about their story. So if it was meaningful, if it provided a lot of imagery, etc. And then 1 comment on 1 thing you would like to see added or resolved in the final draft. So this is not specific to grammar or spelling or their story, but maybe it's overall formatting or maybe you want to see them talk more about something. That's for you to comment on. All comments are due by 5 p.m. on Wednesday. I'm having this so that I have from 5 p.m. until however long it takes me to get through them, to make sure everybody is commented and commented appropriately. Any comments after 5 p.m. will not be counted towards your grade. So at the end of the semester, we're going to have several peer review grades. So if you are not peer reviewing, then you are not going to get that grade. And then please do not resolve any comments until Thursday morning. This way I have time to grade the peer review feedback, and then after Thursday morning, you can resolve them and it's fine. So I just quickly wanted to show you guys how to actually leave comments on somebody's essay. So if you, this is their Google Doc, you should be able to make comments on it anyway, but basically what you're going to do is after you read something and maybe this looks a little odd, you can highlight it, and there should be this little plus sign off to the side that says add comment. If that doesn't pop up, you can just double click it. So highlight it and then double click it, and then you should be able to leave the comment right there. Okay, so I wanted to briefly review what you guys can expect when it comes to storytelling. If you already know, you don't have to watch this, but I just kind of wanted to review what Freytag's pyramid looks like. So this is just a quick sketch. I know a lot of you guys have seen this before, and I have gone into it a little bit more in depth, but this is what Freytag's pyramid looks like. So you start here at the beginning, you have your rising action, your climax, your falling action, and then your resolution. So when you look at this, it's not perfectly even on both sides of the rising action and the falling action. Because when you typically think about a movie or a film, you have your beginning, and then your rising action takes up most of the story. And then the climax is just a very quick moment where something happens, and then the falling action is then the result of it, which is usually pretty quick, and then you get to the resolution, which is the end of the story. So this is what it looks like, and I kind of just broke it down here. So in your beginning, you have your intro to your characters. Sometimes you get into your setting, and you kind of just tell us all about who you are, but then we get into the rising action, which is a lot more character detail, a lot more background information, why people act the way they are, maybe intro to other characters, intro to the conflict. So if you're going to have man versus man, we should know who the other man is at this point that you're having a conflict with. And then you have your climax, which is your main conflict. Your falling action, which is everything that kind of happens after the fact. So if you're having a fist-to-fist fight and that's your main conflict, what happens after? Do you guys go to the hospital? Do you shake hands after? What? And then you have your resolution, which again is kind of just how it all ends. So where are you at the end of the story? Did you learn a lesson? Was something changed? Etc. So it should look something like this. So in case you kind of needed that recap, or else if I left comments on your story about what you need to fix about your overall storytelling. All right, thank you guys for sticking around through the end of this video. Just as a recap, here's what's due this week. You are going to have your first peer review. That's going to be due on Wednesday, alongside your second peer review that's also due Wednesday. And then on Friday, you have your final draft due. So just make sure that you are working on it this week. You're giving others feedback. Maybe as you're reading other people's essays, you are making edits to your own and realizing things that you need to add, change, etc. From here, your final draft is going to be due at midnight on Friday, so just make sure that you have that turned in, and let me know if you have any questions. See you guys this week.